Happy Valentine's to all. My friends, love is in the air and nothing is more special than the relationship between a guitar and a bass. Yeah, they might fight sometimes or step on each other's strap blocks every once in a while, but when you find the perfect pairing, you know they'll be able to work in harmony no matter what gets in the way. By the end of this episode, you'll finally know how to get these two instruments to have the perfect relationship. So strap up, sit tight, and prepare for way too many puns and dad jokes as we figure out how to get this guitar and bass to saddle down. If you really thought I was gonna sit in a toga the whole episode, you had another thing coming. So what's happening, fam? Miami here with JST, and I'll be the Cupid's arrow of the guitar mix today, the EQ matchmaker, if you will. One of the things that confuses people the most in rock music is getting the guitar and bass to work together. Now, there are many ways to mess this up, but I'm gonna show you some surefire options to make sure that you can always keep these two instruments in holy matrimony. First, we have to talk about creating a marriage of the bass and rhythm guitars. I can hear the wedding bells right now, but that isn't the only bell I hear. Make sure to tap that notification bell, subscribe button, and give this a like if you're loving this video so far. Transition game is still crazy. The first step of making rhythm and bass guitars work together: cabs or impulses. Now, if you're unfamiliar with an impulse, it's essentially a digital imprint of a cab, but this works for analog and digital. This is a great tactic to use when you feel you've nailed the guitar tone but can't get the bass to sit for the life of you. The term cab and impulse will be used interchangeably here. Relax, don't fret. I'm not gonna string you along, and if you have any questions, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Guitar jokes done the right way. Now, it's the first night of marriage, and these guitars might have a problem controlling their impulses, but let's listen to a guitar and bass that have been tracked without the trick I'm going to show you. Now, do you see how those aren't working together in the mids at all and don't really sound like a cohesive unit? What do we do to fix this problem? Start carving with EQ? Nah, not yet, because there's an alternative solution. We're gonna use the same cab for the guitar and the bass. Logically, if they're both being sent to the same speaker cabinet, they will work together easier because a cab or impulse response is nothing more than a fancy EQ curve. If you give two instruments the same EQ curve, they're going to work together better. This is why you wouldn't want to give the same EQ curve to a kick and bass, because we want them to have their own identity. Now, let's take a listen to an example of the guitar and bass with the same impulse response. Do you see how much of a difference that made and how much more unified those instruments became? But there's still more that we can do to make these lovebirds get more comfortable with each other. 2, splitting the bass. Wait, these two just started getting close, but we have to split them up already? Look, you guys just got together. You're gonna be able to get through this, you know? Hey, are you gonna finish that? All right. Not exactly. We're going to split the bass into 2 tracks. We're gonna find a crossover point and high pass one track and low pass the other, effectively turning the high passed one into the grit and the low passed one permanently into the sub. Trying to also turn you permanently into a sub, so remember to hit that subscribe button, and my transition game has officially leveled up. Back to the objective. By finding the crossover point, we are now removing the low-mid frequencies of the bass that are overly muddy and making room for the guitar to fill up the space with some actual pleasant low mids. One of the big benefits of doing this, especially when using amp sims, is to ensure note definition in lower tunings, as well as not distorting the sub frequencies, giving you a clean low end. So let's listen to a bass tone that's distorted and hasn't been split. Not bad, but let's mess with the same bass tone with the split crossover and see how much better the rhythm guitar and bass blend together. Much better, right? So at this point, we figured out how to make the bass and rhythm guitars work together better without any crazy EQ moves, just filters. But I think there's an addition to this family that's missing, which leads us to the third topic. Wait, let's get one more joke in here. Why did the Jim Root Telecaster divorce the Strandberg Bowden? It didn't have a good head on its shoulders, you know, because Strandberg guitars are headless. All right, on to number 3, getting lead guitars to gel with rhythm guitar. And this is always a difficult one. So look, wait, you're trying to make this relationship work between all 3 of you guys? It's 2022. Let's make it work. Giving the lead tone its own identity or just finding a way to make it cut. This is where people would typically start boosting a bunch of high-end or using an overdrive pedal. There's nothing wrong with these techniques, but a simple fix to get this to work goes back to the cab again, or impulse response. Let's listen to a conflicting lead guitar tone. It's not really sticking out at this point, or blending, or cutting. It just doesn't sound all that great, so we're gonna try to use a tactic that's the exact opposite of what we were doing earlier. Remember how with the rhythm guitar and bass we used the same cab or impulse? Well, this time around, let's use the same head, but let's change the impulse. I know this doesn't seem practical because people always say use different amps, but this is an extremely simple way to keep a similar feel of distortion, but give it a different EQ curve to help it cut through the mix. Let's give this a shot and see how it goes. If you are miking a cab or using an impulse, it makes a lot of sense to pick something that is closer to being on axis so that it cuts through here. Now we're on our way, but we have to think about the frequency space that the lead is taking up. Most of the time, it's going to be fighting for space in the top end, but since we have a very distorted and aggressive bass, it's also going to fight for space up there due to the harmonic content being added by the amp. So let's take a look at FabFilter and roll off what's not very useful in the bass spectrum, which will allow the lead guitar to shine. Such a simple little move, but so effective in bringing out the clarity of the instruments. So let's go over all of this one more time. Using the same cab on bass and rhythm guitars. Splitting the bass for clarity. Using the same head, but different cab on rhythm and lead guitars. And yeah, there are some others you can throw in here, you know, overdrives on leads, EQing to boost or cut out some mud, but in these scenarios, I like to let the cab or impulse be my EQ curve. What did you guys think of this lovely episode? Did the bass become the guitar's better half? Do you have some easy tips for guitar and bass clarity? Leave it in the comments below and I'll make sure to catch up with you guys next time. If you're an engineer on the come up, give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, you only have to do it one time, and tap that bell for notifications so when a video drops, you know the location. Till next time, I'm out of here. Mic drop. Except as engineers we know, I'd never really drop this thing because it'd get really expensive. And then we'd have to do another Rode mic giveaway. You guys would actually probably like that. I'll catch you later.